Good afternoon, I'm Luke Swetland, the President and CEO of the Museum of Natural History and Sea Center. Delighted to welcome all of you here today for this celebration. Now, we all know we live in a very special place. Special, beautiful, unique, fragile. It is the California floristic province, the coastal area that stretches from Oregon south to Baja California. It's one of only 35 global biodiversity regions or hotspots on this planet. We're not just fortunate to live here, we're very fortunate that good work has been done to protect this region. We have Channel Islands National Park right down the road, and 5 national marine sanctuaries comprising over 15,000 square miles of protected marine habitat in our province. That's very good news. And today we're going to add some more good news, because we're here to celebrate the designation of the Greater Santa Barbara Channel as the 9th and the newest International Whale Heritage Area. We will hear from the small but very dedicated group of individuals, nonprofits, and government agencies who came together to make this designation a reality and to help us better understand what it means. So to get us started, I'd like to ask my colleague, Greg Gorga, Executive Director of the Santa Barbara Maritime Museum, to come up and talk about the Maritime Museum's role in this important work. Greg?
Thank you, Luke. I want to say thank you to Luke, Allie, the whole team here at the Natural History Museum for putting on a great reception and hosting us here today. Really appreciate that. So the Maritime Museum was the fiscal agent for this process. It did take some money to get this Whale Heritage Area designation and a lot of work. And we didn't really do the work. There was 2 people who did most of the work, and you'll get to meet them in just a second. That's Holly Lohais and Rocco Banco, the co-chairs of this effort. We also took some funding, so I want to thank Mimi Michaelis, who is right there, the principal funder of this effort, and all the other people, and there's quite a few of you in the audience who helped financially support this effort. It could not have been done without you. Let's hear it for them. And then I want to thank all of you for being here and for caring about our whales, dolphins, porpoises, the Santa Barbara Channel, and all the wonderful things that our channel provides us. So let's hear it for all of you for caring. The Santa Barbara Maritime Museum talks about maritime history, and part of that history was whale hunting, which actually was occurring here off the Glida coast not too long ago. And so now, and we talk about that history because it's part of our history, but now we get to talk about, going forward, whale preservation, safe ecotourism, and we are doing so much to keep our oceans clean and to keep our marine life safe in those oceans. So it's really nice that this Whale Heritage Area designation could be part of our future history and something we are really happy to be talking about and highlighting at the Maritime Museum. We also have a fun exhibit called Whales Are Superheroes. It talks about how whales help with climate change and education around that too. So we are very excited to be a part of this process and play a small role in this effort. So thank you all. So now I get the pleasure of introducing the real key players in this process. So I want to bring up the co-chairs of the Santa Barbara Channel Whale Heritage Area, Rocco Banco, owner of the Condor Express, and Holly Lohais. And as well, we're going to bring up the spokesperson for the Whale Cetacean Alliance, a gentleman by the name of Jean-Michel Cousteau. So please join me in welcoming
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and my to get a little emotional here because I just really appreciate everybody being here. I have so many colleagues and friends in ocean conservation, from the federal agency of the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary. I have channel keepers back there, Penny Owens, Veronica, Linda Kropp with the Environmental Defense Council. Who am I forgetting? There's so many people here. And I'm just going to just really briefly say that my name is Holly Loheis, and I started on the Island Packer boats back in 1992. And when I get to go into the classes with the Santa Barbara Maritime Museum and do outdoor education, I show kids a graph on how many whales we slaughtered in the decade I was born. So I just say that in the sense that we've come a long way, and we've come to appreciate these very sophisticated, extremely beautiful animals. And I say it with a sense of hope because we are living at this incredible time in history where in just the last 50 years we've been able to bring back the great whales from the brink of extinction. So as we face so many environmental challenges today, think of those blue whales, think of the humpback whales in the Santa Barbara Channel, because if we could bring them back to pretty healthy numbers today, we have to continue to educate ourselves and use this opportunity as a whale heritage area to really engage the entire community to look at some of the environmental threats that still face our whales today. Because they need us guardians, they need us Santa Barbara community and Ventura community to all come together, not only to appreciate an amazing opportunity to go out on one of the local whale watching boats and get that emotional connection. The last 25 years, I've been diving around the world with Jean-Michel Cousteau, and he always says, people protect what they love, but how can we protect if we do not fully understand? So by having this accreditation as a Whale Heritage Area, we want to add that opportunity of responsible tourism with great conservation initiatives that you're going to learn about tonight, as well as important education that is always ongoing here in the Santa Barbara community. And of course, our cultural connection from the past to the present to the future. What is our future when it comes to best protecting and safeguarding the Santa Barbara Channel for our beautiful whales? So I'm going to first turn it over to Hiroko, and then I'll do a little introduction with Jean-Michel. So Hiroko Benko, my co-director.
Well, hello. I am so happy to be here. And our story starts with remarkable man, Fred Benko, who was in love.
It's okay. No worries.
He was in love with the ocean and everything in it. And then 1973, he started sport fishing and diving and limited whale watching, because at that time the great whale population was very endangered. But fortunately, with time the number grew, and he decided it was about the time to begin offering whale watching full time. But this information came from Shauna Fly, who is in this audience. I don't know if she's here.
No, the volunteer.
Okay. Okay, she works at NOAA. And she said December 1995, Fred started the first whale corps training class with Fred Vision and funding, along with the Dr. Chuck Woodhouse. I think some of the people remember him. Wonderful man. And first whale corps training booklet was put together by Dr. Woodhouse and Gary Robinson. He's not here yet. But anyway, he's in the Sea Center. So, 3 months training period. After graduate, you go to the original condo, and as a naturalist, and cruise around Santa Barbara Channel. And educate passengers. Later, all the whale corps naturalists would assist all the whale watching boat. 2011, he had the dream to build a boat. Has no propellers. It would provide a smooth, fast ride, but more than that, no sea animals would get hurt. However, as you know, Santa Barbara Channel is very windy. And so he reached for any place in the world who is very similar condition of weather to Santa Barbara Channel. So he found it, it's in New Zealand. And he went to New Zealand, hired architect to how and bring him to Santa Barbara soil, United States soil, and build Condo Express. Okay. So now, 2013, he passed away peacefully. At his funeral, John Karamakidis from Cascadia Research, I think a lot of professionals know about his name, is famous for blue whales research. He worked closely with Fred for many, many years and spoke in tribute to Fred. Often, he and his crew came over for dinner and talked about blue whales all night long. So, John gave me the framed particular blue whale's photo. It says, blue whale named in honor of Fred Benko. And description says, in honor of Fred's passion, devotion, and contribution to the appreciation of blue whales. This whale was chosen for Fred because of frequent sighting in the Santa Barbara Channel, going back many years, and also sighting of Baja, California. At last, Sarah Edmund Sterner, hope she's here, she said, who actually started Whale Corps in 1996. She wrote to me, honoring Fred, we owe much gratitude to him for expanding our appreciation and respect for our channel marine mammal. His spirit lives on. Thank you.
Thank you, Yoroko. You have contributed a lot to my dreams, and I'll never forget it. And I want to thank you publicly, and I never will stop, because I've had the privilege to continue believing that the human species is going to do what we need to do to make sure we protect not just those beautiful whales, but if we do, it protects us. We're all connected, and having this privilege that I've had when I was a kid, when my dad put a tank on my back, pushed me overboard, and I had no choice. I started diving, and I've been diving for 78, 79 years, and I'm sorry to tell you, but because the water is a little cold here, next week I'll be in Fiji, where it's going to be warm. and I will see what the situation is, because I want the Fijians to protect everything, like we've done here along the coast. The good news for all of us, ladies and gentlemen, is that there is one human species on 30% of the planet. There's several species of dolphins and whales in 70% of the planet. Without them, we couldn't be here. So we need to make sure that we protect it as much as we can and do everything we can. And now, with the communication revolution, we all connected to each other. There's no more excuse. Anyone, whether it's in east, north, south, west of the United States or the different countries on the planet, we're all connected. And it's a very exciting time, and we need to make sure that we are the only ones who have the advantage, the privilege, and decide what needs to be done. And the example that was taken place here in Santa Barbara, together with 8 other places, number 9 and now number 10, we need to do a lot more, because we need to protect a lot more of these species which we depend upon. And we are getting there, and I have more hope, and I really believe we are heading in the right direction. And I can look at kids in the eyes and say, I will never, never let you down, because I know I've had the privilege to be what they were doing, and I was making so many mistakes when I was a kid that today I would be in trouble. And so we are heading in the right direction, and we need, and I know you all know all about these problems, but we need to share with people that we don't connect with as much as we should. And the schools, universities, and the directors of governments and industries, they have families, they have children, grandchildren, so don't point a finger to them. Just try to reach their heart, and maybe we can have a drink together. And often it works. I've had that with several decision makers in different parts of the world, and I will never stop, because I know it doesn't mean that it's 100% success, but it's heading in the right direction. And what I have had the privilege of being involved is with this day, with these days and weeks and months and years. Now, thanks to you, Holly, thanks to you, Yoroko, thank you to many of you here, but we need to do a lot more, and we'll never give up. And that's why I'm only, I'm getting old, but I still dive because salt preserve. Where we put the sardines. And I'm going to go diving in Fiji next week, and I'm looking forward to it. Dive, 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 dive. And maybe I'll meet you to celebrate, I hope 50% or 70% of the ocean being protected when I will celebrate my 107 years of existing, because I want to celebrate 100 years of scuba diving. So, Holly, it's all yours. Thank you. It's all yours.
Thank you very much, Jean-Michel. As he said in Hiroko, that was absolutely beautiful. We'll never forget our days on the original Condor. But as Jean-Michel, Hiroko, Greg, and Luke so beautifully said, it's a team effort. Alex Brody here with Island Packers has been very supportive. And of course, we have Rincon Brewery. We've got the Hyatts right there. There's Mark, Colin. Where's Alyssa? Oh yes, and Fred Blender, our wine. A lot of donors tonight, and I do want to just say a big appreciation. Part of our relationship too with Rincon Brewery dates back to when Mark Hyatt was a skiff operator with Alex and myself, Island Packers, back in the early 90s. And he's moved on with his wife and beautiful family, a lot of businesses here, paddle sports, now on to Rincon Brewery, after Santa Barbara Outfitters. What else am I forgetting, Mark? But they've been pretty actively engaged in our community here. And most recently, really, as Rincon Brewery is an ocean-friendly restaurant, they've provided a beautiful new beer, Cetaceans beer. And the artist, our local artist, Liz Brady, has done the painting for it. So we just wanted to have that on stage with us. And a big shout out to Rincon Brewery. You might have seen the 805 magazine this month. It's a wonderful opportunity. 30 or so different restaurants are giving back to nonprofits in Santa Barbara. So please check out that issue, and thank you very much to Rincon Brewery. For every cauliflower bites you buy, $2 is supporting the Santa Barbara Channel Whale Heritage Area. So thank you very much, Rincon Brewery.
Yeah.
So what is the Whale Heritage Area? I'm going to play a short little video. And I don't have audio. It's the designation, the 9th Whale Heritage Area in the world, the Santa Barbara Channel Whale Heritage Area. This designation highlights the region's commitment to promoting responsible ecotourism, providing more ocean educational opportunities, supporting ongoing research and conservation efforts, and honoring the timeless cultural connection we have to whales. Together, these organizations have launched a new global program, Wildlife Heritage Areas, as the larger initiative to support a coalition of responsible travel businesses with wildlife conservation. So beautiful footage by Adam over here, who's going to be So once again, just the steering committee that helped put this together, a big shout out to every logo you see up here. They've been instrumental in support letters and helping out with the application process. Because what a whale heritage is an accreditation program. It's like a green business, where if you want to be considered a sustainable green business, you apply for it by meeting certain criteria. So we've started this application process with the World Cetacean Alliance, in which Jean-Michel has been the honorary president since 2013. We started this application process back in 2021. So it's a few-year effort to make sure we meet all the criteria, which we of course naturally do. And congratulations to everybody here, because part of our community, we were honored then, as Jean-Michel and Luke and Greg mentioned, as the 9th Whale Heritage Area in the world. So we are here tonight to share with you what this means. So we are just a big boundary across some other amazing recognition of this incredible Santa Barbara Channel and our Channel Islands. Of course, we have the Channel Islands National Park, which is 5 islands, 5 of the 8 Channel Islands off of Southern California, and 1 mile around those 5 islands is our Channel Islands National Park. Designated the same year, in 1980, is our Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, which is 6 nautical miles around those same 5 islands. And then why not just make a bigger boundary and go where the whales go? So the whales really are all around these islands and then the Santa Barbara Channel. In fact, many of us here were part of the California Island Symposium a couple weeks ago, and we listened to oceanographers share some data that continuously proves how productive the Santa Barbara Channel is with all of our primary production. And that's what brings us the whales. So we are now one of 9 Whale Heritage Areas, and there is a new Whale Heritage Area just a couple weeks ago. So there are now 10 around the world. And then these are the candidate sites that are in the application process that we have gone through. So really, it has always been your dream, Jean-Michel, is to have a network of these whale heritage areas around the world, because it does recognize responsible tourism. And I'm sure many of us have been to different places around the world, and maybe with a tour operator that really didn't have the best sense of animal welfare. And so this type of accreditation really labels those companies doing well when it comes to ecotourism and providing education, highlighting the important research and conservation, and really giving the visitors that emotional connection to the wildlife. So we, of course, have been doing that for decades, thanks to Fred and Island Packers, and many other businesses, of course, the Santa Barbara Landing, as well as the Sailing Center, and other companies down in the Channel Islands Harbor. So all the whale watching companies came together for this application. And now here we are. We are on this amazing international map of designated areas around the world that meet the same criteria that we do here in Santa Barbara. So it is an honor to really be a part of this community. I've been here since I graduated UC Santa Barbara over 30 years ago, and we all know we have more whales today than we did back in the early 90s, so much to celebrate. And a much larger initiative of this wildlife heritage areas, it includes terrestrial areas too. So once again, it's just a great way to educate the tourists to pick locations where they've met the criteria of responsible tourism. And there we are, featured there in the middle on the bottom. So our list of supporting businesses and agencies and nonprofits continues to grow. Many of you are here in the audience tonight, so really a big shout out to providing support letters and really your own personal love for whales and what this means for you and your organization. So a big appreciation and thank you as this list continues to grow. And to start off with some wonderful presenters here this evening, I just want to introduce you to one of our most beloved whales here. This whale is in our 6-minute film that's on our website, so please visit the Santa Barbara Whale Heritage Area website, and you'll meet Scarlett, and Captain Dave of the Condor Express gives a personal experience where he has seen this whale for over 13 years. I first met Scarlett for the first time on an Island Packer boat at the end of June, and you might notice she has some very distinct scars behind her blowhole there. She's a very healthy female humpback whale that visits us annually in the Santa Barbara Channel because of the food that's available for her. And this picture was taken from an Island Packer boat back in 2021, and she introduced a boat full of visitors to her calf. So that is her calf there, her second calf that Dave told me she's had. So with that, I'm going to introduce our first speaker here. Let me Thank you, Rocco and Jean-Michel. So we're going to start off with Sean Hastings, and Sean Hastings works for the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary. Chris Mobley is also here, the superintendent of the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary. And Sean and I have been collaborating in a variety of projects for decades, and he's been with the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary since 1997. He serves, I have to read this from the notes, Sean, he serves as the Site's Policy, Information, and Management Officer. A lot of responsibility there, Sean. And he is responsible for developing the policies and programs to address the industrial, military, and commercial and recreational uses of the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary. He was instrumental in helping create our network of marine protected areas from his agency. And most recently, and really it's been a few years now, he spearheads one of the most important conservation initiatives we have in the Santa Barbara Channel. And that is from his perspective, from the federal agency, NOAA, to work with the city of Santa Barbara and our city control board, air quality board, and work with our shipping companies to convince our ships to slow down when they're traversing critical whale habitat in the Santa Barbara Channel. So much of that success is from the very hard work of Sean Hastings, and I'm just super appreciative he is here to share some of his work with us.
All right, hey, good evening, everybody. What a fantastic behalf of NOAA's Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, as has been described well tonight. And I hope when I share with you, many of you will see your fingerprints on this. We have many Sanctuary Advisory Council members, past and present, in the audience. And we have the Naturals Corps here. So this really is a celebration of a lot of your hard work. We're going to talk about a couple particular programs that helped buoy the designation. And let's start with just a quick overview of our national marine sanctuaries around the country and offshore Pacific waters. We have the designation, we have the distinguished designation now of being the only sanctuary with a whale heritage area in it. And I know my colleagues are going to be envious and jealous of that. Many of you who know California well, when you're in Monterey Bay, up in the Bay Area, you're adjacent to the Monterey Bay, Greater Farallones, and Cordell Bank National Marine Sanctuaries. And on the horizon, not far from here, the Chumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary is in the process of being designated, with a lot of support from all of you. Just to add a little context to our region, those are shipping tracks. We're a very, very busy shipping area. You can see the sanctuary there is actually a sanctuary for whales in many ways, because we don't allow big ships to come into the sanctuary. These ships are coming over from Asia, calling on the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach and Port Hueneme. Over 40% of all imports are coming into our country through these ports just south of us, and we have our shipping lanes. So I think everyone here recognizes those big ships on the horizon. They're not that far offshore from us. They're coming from a long way away, and they do present one of the last remaining threats to these wonderful cetaceans that we're trying to protect. Ship strikes. So we talked about whaling. We've moved on from that in many of our lifetimes. This is a threat that is not just here in this channel, but it is worldwide. And it is tragic. These are beautiful, large animals, but they're not as big as these ships. There's no intention of the ships of hitting these animals. Just an unfortunate confluence of where the whales are feeding and migrating happens to be where a lot of those busy shipping lanes are and a lot of those transits are. One of the greatest privileges of my career is getting to fly the Santa Barbara Channel and count whales with Captain Beezer here in the audience. And we fly the shipping lanes because that's where the whales are most at risk. We've been doing this with support from the Volgino Foundation, which believes in protecting whales and supports our aerial monitoring effort. You can see here just a summary of earlier this year, the humpback whales, a couple blue whales, gray whales that we see in and around the shipping lanes. Again, an unfortunate confluence of where they feed and move right in these busy shipping lanes. So not only are we counting whales from the air, but thanks to the Channel Islands Naturals Corps, incredible members here tonight, please thank them. They're out there on the whale watch boats, they're doing island hikes, they are helping document whales in and around this region. They use a really simple, fun, easy to use application called Whale Alert. All of you can download it as well. Whale Alert. It allows you with 3 clicks to share your sightings, and together it helps us track and understand where these animals are. And the Naturals Corps data has been instrumental in helping us, again, support designations like the Whale Heritage Area. You can see them here at work. They have personal relationships not only with the animals, but many returning customers and the whale watch industry, which gratefully allows them on the boats to share their information and their knowledge about this incredible channel, which we've heard so much about tonight. So what are we doing on the policy front? This is something that we started about 15 years ago, where obviously the best way to protect whales is to separate whales and ships. Well, we can't move the whales. I'll share with you a little bit later how we have moved the ships to some degree. Where we can't move ships, we've tried to slow them down. And so my agency, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, working with the U.S. Coast Guard, working with the Environmental Protection Agency, we issue a seasonal voluntary vessel speed reduction program We're putting notices out to the shipping industry, asking them to slow down to 10 knots between May and December. That's when the great animals are in our region. That's when we need these ships going slowly. Why is the Coast Guard and EPA involved? Because they also, Coast Guard supports safe navigation, and the EPA supports clean air. And we'll talk a little bit more about the many issues surrounding shipping, which is not just ship strikes. So we've been putting these notices out. To be honest, the cooperation rate has grown slowly over time, not fast enough. We have about 60% of the traffic slowing down in this region. Slowing traffic down does a couple things for whales. One, it reduces the likelihood or risk of a fatal strike if an animal is hit. More importantly, it gives the animals time to get out of the way. Many of these whales are older than the ships. Many of them are older than most of us in the audience. They have not evolved to understand ships as a threat because it seems obvious to us if we had a bus coming out of it at us, we'd get out of the way. These animals are head down feeding, and they don't necessarily recognize ships as a threat. So the federal government has been putting these voluntary requests out for over 15 years, and to be honest, it's been a little frustrating not having the cooperation that we need. So one of the tenets of the National Marine Sanctuaries Act, which guides the work we do in the sanctuary program, is to create innovative and incentive-based approaches to conservation. Don't give a policy guy that kind of leeway. We got creative. We started partnering with the air districts, as mentioned, and we started offering incentives to the industry to cooperate and slow down. And I am proud to say, working with an incredible array of air districts up and down the state and our sister sanctuaries in the Monterey Bay and Greater Farallones, we now have a coalition that covers almost half of the California coastline, the same vessel speed reduction zones, but now we recognize the shipping companies that self-enroll. These are the largest shipping companies in the world. They bring over 90% of the containers to the West Coast. These are some of the largest corporations in the world, and they are working with us, and we now see cooperation rates closing in on 80%. So you can see here some of the facts, and as I alluded to, slowing ships down is great for whales. It's wonderful for air quality as well. It's hard for me to understand living in this beautiful community that we do, where we don't have heavy industry. We don't have a tremendous amount of transportation, but our air quality is not great. It sometimes does not meet state and federal standards. One of the largest sources of air pollution that affects our lungs and also our climate comes from ships. They burn really dirty fuel, they don't have catalytic converters, and their emissions blow on shore. The wonderful northwest winds that keep us cool and keep this channel vibrant by stirring up that ocean water, it also brings that pollution on shore. Slowing a ship down hugely reduces the amount of fuel they burn, thus reducing pollution. So what we have discovered here is slowing ships down, it's good for whales, good for air quality, good for the planet. It also reduces ocean noise, a whole other topic for another lecture. So this is a win-win-win-win. And the industry, actually, in burning less fuel, is also reducing their costs. So our assessments are it's not a huge economic burden on them to slow down. Why do they do this? Well, the industry does care about all those environmental issues. What they really enjoy is the public praise and the positive press that we bring to those particular companies. This is something that we hope to continue to expand, not just along the California coast, but it really needs to go wherever these ships and whales are. Now, there is a role for the corporations that fill these containers. And let's not forget, those containers are full of products that we all wear, that we all buy, especially in this shopping season coming up. So we all have a role here, and many of the companies that are filling these containers, they want a role in protecting whales as well. And so you see here, and I hope you recognize some of these local companies, they're some of the first corporations to sign up as ambassadors for protecting blue whales and blue skies. So we have the shipping industry involved. Our next audience is corporate America. And these are the pioneering companies who have said, we will ship with those companies. If we have a choice to make, we'll ship with the ones that protect blue whales and blue skies. We hope to see more companies on this list as we expand. I mentioned some of the other things that we're doing. Vessel speed regulation, it occurs on the East Coast. I believe it needs to happen here as well. The voluntary program is working well, but regulations can work better. We are working with the Coast Guard on offshore fairways that would take the ships farther offshore. It pushes the threat away from whales. It pushes the air pollution threats away from us. That's on the horizon from Baja to Canada, a 50-mile offshore fairway. We're working with the Coast Guard on that. As I alluded to, we want to expand the Blue Whales, Blue Skies program beyond just California. These whales have tails and those ships have big props. We're proud to protect them while they're here, and the Whale Heritage Area recognizes that. Let's be that beacon of hope. Let's be that example, as Santa Barbara is in so many ways, to expand what we're doing here, help my sister sanctuaries get heritage areas as well. Thank you for your support of this. Thank you, Holly and Hiroko, for leading the way. We're proud to be partners with you.
Thank you very much, Sean. I have a real pleasure of introducing Rachel Rhodes, who's a marine scientist with the Benioff Science Laboratory. So I'm sorry I somehow butcher that sometimes because they change their names and when you change your name. But Rachel is with the Benioff Ocean Science Laboratory, one of their project scientists, and really helps with this great program you're going to learn about from her, an acoustic array called Whale Safe. She has her master's here from UC Santa Barbara from the Bren School, so I know that many wonderful conservationists, managers go out into the world that come from the Bren, and we're really lucky to have Rachel here working in the Santa Barbara Channel. Her work has taken her around the world, from working on marine protected areas for sharks and even rays in Mozambique. And she's from Carpinteria. Her father is a wonderful beacon for us in Carpinteria. Nice to have you here this evening, Ted. And Rachel, it is your turn to share with us about Whale Safe and Benioff. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for letting me come and present a bit about my work today. So I'm a project scientist at the Benioff Ocean Science Laboratory, and for those of you that don't know, we're an applied marine research lab based out at UC Santa Barbara. And we really focus on creating scalable solutions to ocean problems using both science and technology. So I get to work on one of our flagship projects called Whale Safe, which uses near real-time whale detection technology to reduce ship strikes. So unlike Sean, I didn't put any of those horrifying images of whales trapped over the bow of a ship, but it's still very important to see, but fortunately we don't have to in a row like that. I won't go into too much detail because Sean gave a great background, but just wanted to say when we were looking for projects to undertake at our lab, this issue of ship strike was something that came to our attention by a number of stakeholders and community members because it's something happening around the world, but also right here in our ocean backyard. So we have 3 endangered whale species, among other wonderful cetacean species that visit our waters. But the ones we focus on are blue humpback and fin whales. And these are the endangered species that come and visit and feed in these really productive feeding grounds that again overlap with these really busy shipping lanes leading to and from the ports of LA, Long Beach, and Oakland. As Sean mentioned, the federal government is combating this issue through a voluntary vessel speed reduction zone here on the West Coast. So again, this is asking large vessels to slow down to 10 knots or less to give whales a chance to get out of the way and to reduce that impact. This occurs from May 1st through December 15th here in our waters, which are the peak months that we have aggregations of these endangered whales. So to help complement the work of all these federal and local agencies who've been working in this space for over 15 years, our lab created what we call the Whale Safe System, which is providing whale and ship activity data to mariners out in the water to give them extra eyes and ears while transiting through these zones that are really critical whale habitat. So we launched our pilot system here in the Santa Barbara Channel back in 2020, and then we launched a second system up in the San Francisco Bay in September of 2022. And what this system is doing is providing near real-time whale alerts using 3 different types of technology. So the first piece is an acoustic monitoring system, which is labeled number 1 here on this infographic, but it's an acoustic monitoring system that has a hydrophone on the base of the seafloor that's listening for whales 24/7, and there's software that's able to automatically classify the species of whale that it hears. So this is really awesome because before that, you would have a human who would be listening to hours and hours of audio and annotating all of this to get that information that we can now have instantaneously. And so this is sent back to us via satellite. And then the second piece of technology we're using is a dynamic blue whale habitat model. We often describe this sort of like a weather forecast, but instead of weather, we're telling you whether blue whales are likely to be out in the water that day. So this is using satellite data. It's giving us daily oceanographic conditions of what's going on in the water column, and then spitting out the likelihood that blue whales are in the channel. The third piece is sightings data collected by our wonderful Naturalist Corps and crews on the Island Packers, Condor Express, and SB Whale Watch. All the folks, many of you in this room are really helpful in creating all of this data for us. So they are logging those sightings on Whale Alert and Spotter Pro app, and that's instantaneously coming into our system. So all 3 of these data streams complement each other in various ways, but they all come together and synthesize this into what we call the whale presence rating, which is sort of similar to a Smokey the Bear fire danger sign, except it's not telling you fire danger, it's telling you whale presence. So this was designed to be really quick and easy to digest, especially for ship captains and crews who have a lot going on out on the water, so that they can understand what whale presence is like on any given day. So this was designed sort of to be like a warning tool, like when you drive by a school and there's a flashing school zone sign. This is like that for mariners, reminding them to please slow down when that whale presence is high or very high. In addition to all of this whale data, the other big piece that WhaleSafe is helping with is providing vessel speed analytics. So we're using AIS data, which is essentially a little GPS ping that large vessels are sending out for collision avoidance. But we're able to take all that data and actually track how well ships are abiding by these vessel speed recommendations. So we've created these public-facing report cards for every company that shows how well their fleet is slowing down. It's really an awesome tool for us to use to reach out to companies. As Sean mentioned, the statistics are getting better of overall cooperation over the years, but we're not at 100% yet. So we have a lot more work to do in terms of industry engagement, and having these transparent analytics allows us to reach out to those companies and figure out a pathway to success to increase that cooperation. We're also able to provide data reports, so we've been partnering with Protecting Blue Whales Blue Skies program and providing the companies that enroll in that with monthly reports that shows a lot of details of how each one of their vessels is doing, and so they can make adjustments as the season goes on. So these are kind of the 2 big pillars within our WhaleSafe system. We're really excited to have this Whale Heritage designation. I think it puts us on the map internationally and highlights a lot of the really important conservation work that we as a community are doing, and hopefully can expand and take those lessons learned elsewhere. Lastly, just want to give a big shout out because I'm just one person who works on this project, and there are so many other people and technology research partners who made it possible, and these are just a few of them. I'm sure we've left off some other folks as well. But just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who's helped make this project possible.
Okay, no notes for Adam. Our last speaker this evening, before we want to save time for Q&A for everybody too. So it's a real honor to introduce Adam Ernster, who is a filmmaker, a wonderful film producer. He has been our face to the world, part of our application, as I mentioned, was producing a short little film about the Santa Barbara Channel as a destination. And he just is a great eye on the water, really brings his footage to life, as you're gonna see, absolutely stunning. And it gives us, not only from his perspective of a drone flown, but also just on the boat and really capturing the visitors and their interaction with whales. So I thought it was just most appropriate to finish our afternoon with some beautiful stories and about our own whales from Adam. So please, Adam, to finish us this afternoon.
Hi, everybody. How's it going? Hi. Firstly, I just want to say thank you for coming today to learn about our whales and our beautiful backyard, and as well as our awesome community we find ourselves in. I feel very privileged to be a part of this community, so thank you for coming today. My name is Adam Ernster. I'm a wildlife cameraman who specializes in capturing moments of our ocean's largest inhabitants. I've been very fortunate to spend my early 20s surrounded by whales and dolphins, which is just about every little kid's dream. It certainly was my dream. And I've been able to do this because I've worked in the ecotourism industry. I've been able to work up and down the West Coast here in the Pacific Ocean, from places like Baja California Sur, where you can actually go and see gray whales that actively seek out human interaction. It's quite an incredible place. If you haven't been able to do this yet, I highly recommend it. I've also worked in the San Juan Islands in Washington, educating people about southern resident killer whales, which are a critically endangered subpopulation of killer whales. There's only about 75 of these whales left on the planet today. This specimen here, his name is L87 Onyx. He's a big boy. But nowhere has inspired me more or made me feel more at home than the Santa Barbara Channel. And that's not only because of the diversity of whales and dolphins that we see here, but also the abundances. I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about all the crazy animals we can see here. First off, the common dolphin is a terrible name for a really charismatic species. And we can see common dolphin in enormous pods. Sometimes we'll see them in pods 10,000 strong. It reaches across the entire channel. So these dolphins are really incredible. Here's a picture I took in front of UC Santa Barbara, my alma mater. Go Gauchos. But again, there's really nothing like seeing a pod of dolphins just gliding across the channel in such incredible numbers. We can also see blue whales, as we were talking about earlier, Sean was talking about earlier with the Blue Whales, Blue Skies initiative. Blue whales have been hit or miss the past couple of years in the channel. They either show up or they don't. They're krill specialists, so wherever the krill goes, they will soon follow. This photo was taken in 2020 on the Condor Express, where we probably had our best blue whale year in a decade. There was about 50 individual blue whales right in front of Carrington Point off of Santa Rosa Island. And it's quite an incredible thing to see the world's largest animal to ever exist on planet Earth in 4.6 billion years, so pretty crazy. We also see killer whales. Killer whales are a lot of people's favorite whales. Right now is actually an amazing time to see killer whales here in the channel. Typically in December we get a handful of sightings, so we're hoping to, if history repeats itself, we're hoping for some sightings here in the near future. This is a member of the CA51s, California's most famous pod. They're known as the friendly pod. This individual is CA51A2 Andy. She's a 13-year-old female. And as you can see, she's backflipping on her own free will. She's not doing it for fish or anything like that in captivity, so good job, Andy. And humpback whales. Humpback whales are kind of our cream of the crop here, our piece de resistance in Santa Barbara. You can see the beautiful mesa in the background there. And we've had an absolutely incredible summer and fall season here in Santa Barbara with humpback whales. So I just wanted to share with you some footage I've captured on some of the local whale watching boats. And our humpback whales will show up here in early spring, and they'll stay here till late fall, early winter. They are coming from their breeding grounds in Mexico, and some of them make it as far as Costa Rica. But mothers are coming here to the channel with calves in tow to feed. They're here to put on the pounds after a very lengthy migration. So here's some surface lunge feeding humpback whales with Santa Barbara in the background. And they come to Santa Barbara because of our very unique underwater topography, as well as a mixing of some very unique currents. We have the California current that brings down cold water from Alaska, as well as a counter current that brings some warm water from Mexico. And these currents mix, and with high winds as well, it pushes out some of the surface water, and in a process called upwelling, creates a whole bunch of nutrients for the anchovies to feed on, and obviously our whales and dolphins will feed on those anchovies as well. So you can just see how massive this bait ball is. It stretches about a quarter mile across the ocean. Those whales look like ants. It's quite incredible. So they have a lot of food here to eat, and it's pretty amazing to watch these whales lunge feed on these giant schools of fish. So we're very privileged to see a lot of humpbacks here in Santa Barbara. The channel is about 100 miles in length and can vary between 20 to 30 miles in width. So it's a lot of ocean for the whales to cover. So luckily they have a sidekick companion here in common dolphins. The dolphins have echolocation or sonar capabilities that allow them to find the fish, and these whales will just simply follow. A lot of the time when we're out there in the ocean, we do see whales and dolphins feeding together, so the whales are kind of cheating, but whatever you can do to get a mouthful. They're also the most acrobatic of the whales that we see. They're the ones you'll see breaching out of the water or throwing their pec fins in the air like they just don't care. Quite impressive to see an 80,000-pound animal jumping out of the water like that. They're also very curious and charismatic. This is a whale we know well as Toa. Toa was first seen in the channel about 3 years ago, and he was a calf at the time, and he was badly mauled by killer whales. If you look at his flukes on his tail there, you can see some whitening there. But he was covered head to toe in killer whale tooth marks, rake marks. Luckily, Toa is a warrior. One of our captains and deckhands in the channel, Kelly, named Toa for being a warrior, and that's what it means. So we're lucky to have Toa still, and he's obviously very friendly, and it's pretty impressive to see this is a 3-year-old whale. He's only 3 years old, but he's still the size of our 30-foot boat. So it's always an incredible time to have a friendly humpback whale, and this whale's acting on its own accord. It's not being forced to do anything. The boat's engines are completely off. The whale's coming towards the boat. He's sticking his head out of the water here. And again, you can see a 3-year-old whale is still pretty big. And this time of year, we actually see a lot of interesting behaviors from the humpback whales. We'll see a lot of social interactions from them. So here's a cow and her calf in the front there being followed by a male escort. The escorts will try to escort the females down to the breeding grounds. And so they'll jockey for position. A lot of males will kind of fight for position. But you can see this mom is not having it. She's swiping her tail at him, doesn't want anything to do with him. Go moms. So we love that. But that's just some of the dramas that we see unfold in the Santa Barbara Channel. And we're able to see these through ecotourism. I've worked on the Condor Express for the past 5 years. I'm now entering my own freelancing endeavors, which is scary. But ecotourism is a huge component to what we're doing here with the Whale Heritage Area. We're very lucky to have a community of like-minded whale watchers that help each other out in the ocean. We're able to relay each other whale positions. We want everybody's boats to get good looks at the whales. And there's only about 6 companies in the channel, so there's so much room and so many whales that we don't have to bombard our whales with too many vessels. 99% of the time when we're out there, we're the only boats on scene. So we're very fortunate to have that and to have a community of people like yourselves that love whales and want to go see them. I definitely can't recommend it enough. This Santa Barbara Channel is an amazing place for whale watching. So definitely check out our website, SB Whale Heritage. On there we have a whole section of different whale watching opportunities here in Santa Barbara, as well as Ventura Harbor and Channel Islands Harbor. So I would hope to see your beautiful faces out there on the water soon. Thank you.